That isn't loud enough. Only one of these players will advance. They're 3-1 with 2 rounds left. One advances to 4-1 and can draw into the top 8. One gets nothing. Adam Snook on your right. James Ogier on your left. Manland versus manland. Creature land versus creature land. Elemental land versus elemental land. And we have Metallica to play us on. Life is good, isn't it? Wow. Bitter Blossom. Wow. You see what I see right now, everybody? Turn 2 Bitter Blossom. Turn 2 Bitter Blossom from Adam Snook. First turn 3 Geist. Wow, I love this game. I love this game right now. Look at this. Look at this situation we have. What does Snook have for this Geist? Needless to say, it's not a Liliana of the Veil, or that would be slammed. Aha! So just a creeping tar pit and saying go. That's pretty weak. Snook, if you're listening to this right now, that last play was pretty weak. Pushing a token that is only in play for a single phase. Huh. Questionable plays from Andrew. Excuse me, Adam. Questionable. This is the TJ's Titanium September Challenge. These fine gentlemen playing for top 8. And look at this. Electrolyze countered by Spell Stutter Sprite. Adam is playing Spell Stutter Sprite. That was actually the first card he registered on his deck list. He loved it so much. So, now that a proper army has been assembled, Geist can be blocked down. Cannot really attack. Bitter Blossom now goes to work every turn. There we go. 13 to 20. Spell Stutter in for 1. This is often how the Bitter Blossom games go. Just peck, 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 peck until they finally turn the corner and get it done. Is this the best Metallica song ever written? It might be. It might be. The Call of Cthulhu is pretty good. My personal favorite. One of my favorites. This one's pretty great. So here we go. Geist gets in. Path attempts to take a token out. Spell Stutter counters the Path. Geist is getting blocked down. Can James fight over this? Does he want to? Logic not tries. He says counter that unless you pay 3. Can you pay 3, Adam Snook? Do you have another counter spell? No. The answer is no. Spell Stutter is countered. So Path resolves, gets him a basic island. Push takes out the Angel token. Adam takes 0 damage. Depleting James' resources, building his mana base, grinding it out with Bitter Blossom. Have to keep in mind, he always has Creeping Tar Pit, too, with which to block that Geist. No Iganjo Castle in sight for James. Here's a Seize. She's a very good hand. Obviously taking the Snapcaster. Adam Snook trying to fight fire with fire. Bitter Blossom versus Geist. Serum Visions from James. He just has to say go. He does not want to trade his Geist for a Creeping Tar Pit. He says, you know what? Eventually, the Celestial Colonnade will overwhelm you, but he has to get there. He has to get at him low enough that 1 hit plus a bolt threatens to kill. Right now, Adam at 9. These life totals are accurate, 22 to 9. Adam, a long way to go in this game. No Mutavaults to be seen for Snook. He has 4 in the deck. As well as 4 Creeping Tar Pit. What a madman. Crucial for him this game is going to be to gain access to a Snapcaster Mage on a Fatal Push. He will need to find something like this to deal with that Celestial Colonnade. Also has Go for the Throat and Murderous Cut. "24 lands in the deck for Snook, so he's got a lot of them. And here we go. Tar Pit starts. Milford Mike in the background there on the right. You can see him right behind Snook. He's helping with the life totals. He has drawn into the top 8 of this tournament. He is 4-0-1, earning the right number of points. He was able to draw with Dave Lynn. Keith Hubert, also at 4-0. He had to fight it out this round. He's playing a 3-1. But back to this game. We're watching Snook go to work on James's life total. Bitter Blossom takes a long time to prove its advantage. But prove it did. I mean, look at this game. It's created like 7 tokens. Lingering Souls costs you 5 mana and only makes 4 tokens. Bitter Blossom has made 7 for only 2 mana. Like catches, it takes 7 turns. So what does James have here? It's a path that we know about. Looks like at least 2 more lands here, a Tarn and a Fountain. Adam says use my Delta. Go to 6. He is now on a definite clock. He has 6 more turns. He has to kill James in 6 Bitter Blossom triggers. Tarpit animates, goes to block. This is a really risky line from Snook. Yeah, look at this. He just loses. He just loses. Yeah, and you can, if you can read lips, you can see what he said. He said, I just messed up. Wow. I looked like he had that game. That was all James had. If Snook like somehow had 1 more blocker, yeah, he still probably would have died, but James was out. James had a Hollowed Fountain left after that. Turn 2 Bitter Blossom not enough. It happens. And to think, this card was once banned in Modern. When they unbanned it, people freaked out. If you weren't playing Modern then, it was funny. People were scared. People thought that this card was going to break things open. And now look. It can't even win when played on turn 2 versus a kind of a control deck. Looking into the sideboards. Snooky Boy on the draw. The Snookster. Snooktastic. Andrew Snook, Snookalicious. He doesn't have much, I'll tell you. No good way to fight against the Geist. He has 1 Liliana of the Veil. That's it. He has 3 Damnation, I guess. I guess that's all right. Not much for him. His deck will stay mostly the same. Ceremonious Rejection does nothing. Ancestral Visions gets easily spell quellered, though he still probably will side it in. Negate is playable. It's not what you love, but it's fine. You'll gain access to it. Last Hope, pretty weak. On the other hand, James has a lot. Celestial Purge for the Blossom. Ruined Halo for the Tar Pit. Wear Tear for the Blossom. Anger the Gods for the army if he wants it, though in my opinion that one's pretty bad. Blessed Alliance for the creature lands. So he has a lot of options, almost all of which are at 2 mana. Celestial Purge is going to be the one he's most excited about. Conflux All-Star. I don't know if y'all can hear, but I hear Snook saying right now, he goes, I haven't liked any of my matchups today. I felt like every deck I played against is a bad matchup. Which probably means that his deck is bad. James, his deck was at its best about 3 months ago when Nick Star took down his Titanium Challenge. It's still okay, you know, it's still good. It still has a lot of play, especially with the addition of Spell Queller to slow it down a little bit. But it's not, you know, I mean, out of the 40-something people in this room today, there were probably like 3 or 4 Grixis Death Shadow decks. The deck that this Geist deck was designed to beat. Not like before when 10% of the field or 20 or 30% of the field was Death Shadow. You don't get those free wins anymore. So let's see what Snook has on turn 1. Is it a seize or is it a suspension of Ancestral Vision? The second. So Snook has set up an Ancestral Recall for himself, circa turn 4. And he has a Thoughtseize to clear the way for it. Now, Spell Queller counters Ancestral Vision. Logic Knot counters Ancestral Vision. Cryptic Command will be too slow to do that. Prepare to see Snook fight over one of these ways to counter his vision. This game is now all about the Ancestral Recall. And this is amazing for Snook too, because he has perfect knowledge of the Jeskai player's hand. He now knows he cannot attack his Mutavault into that Electrolyze. He does have to deal with Path, Snap, Path this game. Have to be a little careful with his threats, not putting his Tassiger out until he knows the coast is clear, or at least can get an activation. Aha! So Snook decides not to take one of the cards that can deal with vision, saying he either has many ways to answer these cards, or he doesn't have any, and, you know, it's just going to happen. So why try and fight over something that's just going to happen? So we'll see. That's down the pipe. Vision on 2. Adam could get in with a Mutavault right here. No Path to Exile is available. No Electrolyze is available. But is that the best use of 2/3 of his mana on the 3rd turn of the game? Probably not. Now we're just playing a little bit of draw go. Snook could have cracked in for 2. Often, even the value of bluffing a spell is worth more than 2 damage. Right? Because that saying go goes a long way. Like, they might not just slam the Geist of St. Traff that they just drew. Something like that. Now, something really interesting that I saw in the field was a Pyromancer's Ascension deck. So we're going to try and get that on screen for you as soon as possible. If I had seen it earlier than this round, I would have. Now here's the turn. Ancestral Vision's about to come off suspend. Snook missed a land drop. That ain't good. So end of turn Snapper. Trying to put the beats down. What does James have? Interesting from Snook. He just doesn't Thoughtseize. Wow, look at this. James just says, okay, I don't care. He does not want to use all the mana for his turn just to trade for a counter spell. And really smart play of Snook for playing Snapcaster Mage. I mean, look at that. Look at that foresight. Most players would have thought, okay, James is going to try and counter my vision. I need to save all my resources in case my vision gets countered. Snook says, I'm missing land drops. I can't afford to not use all my mana on turn 4. Mid-combat Spell Queller. Trying to block down the Snappy. Does Snook want to use a push on it? Interesting that both of these blue flash powerhouses have not actually done anything. Just being played for their stats alone. And post-combat Inquisition for Snook. He's taken by surprise by that Spell Queller, clearly. This should be taking Path here most of the time. Because if you take the Logic Knot, James has Cryptic regardless next turn. Unlikely to be able to fight him on the counterspell front. I think the choice is instead one of the 1-mana cards. But what do I know? Takes the thought, the Logic Knot. And Lily comes down. That's a good threat. Slightly vulnerable to Colonnade, but boy, does it do a good job shutting down this Queller, which already had 2 damage on it. So Snook turns the Snapcaster into a 1-for-1 after all. Very nice. Liliana versus nothing. Land was drawn for James, so Colonnade is online during his next main phase. Snook far ahead on cards. Would have been a good time for a Spellstutter Sprite. Snook declines. Sitting on a Mana Leak and a Negate. So he has all the options here. Sitting behind a Planeswalker. Threatening that ultimate ability to make zombies every turn. Return Vendilion. Could meet a Cryptic. Could meet a Path to Exile. Which is a very risky proposition, considering that Snook has been stuck on lands. Snook has drawn 3 extra cards this game. Cryptic makes a lot more sense. Counter Bounce constrains Snook's mana. I like this play a lot. Buy himself some time. Time is what he needs. Snook has all these goodies, but man, he can't really play them. Now, when I first met James, I thought he was from England. I was convinced that he was from the British Isles, but I was wrong. Completely wrong. He was from another isle. The Isle of New Zealand. Butchered. Went to school there. As far as I know, lived his life there. But has moved to Massachusetts. Probably for the magic. Back to the game. Snook still down on lands. Suspends a vision. Uses Liliana to cash in for a creature. Gets back his Snappy. Snapperson. Snaptastic. Leaving his own life total or his Liliana open to this Colonnade. With 2 counter spells in hand, it's pretty ballsy. But you decide it's not going to get any better. And he has correctly deduced that James's turn is not casting a spell that's counterable. It's that going to be activating Colonnade, and he goes right for Snook. Look at that. Snook's now at 7. The lightning bolt in James's hand means he needs to connect one and only one more time with that Colonnade. Snook with 1,000,000 cards in hand. Nothing to do. Must be frustrating. He's drawn so many extra cards this game. Milford Mike being a real sport in the background there. Doing Snook's dirty work. Because he's big time now. Snook on the Pro Tour all of a sudden thinks he doesn't need to keep track of his own life total. James decides not to attack. Thinks the likelihood of a push is just too high. And now is firmly on the back foot. He needs to find 4 more points of burn to go with his 1 lightning bolt in hand. Path takes out the click. Adam probably really wants the island here. Like, yeah, it's his only threat, but he's a Mutavault. He has a Planeswalker ticking up. He has the long game. He's going to draw 3 cards soon. He decides to sit on the negate, sit on the mana leak, and just take his island. And, you know, it looks like Snook had 5 lands previously, but he does not want to crack that polluted delta. He does not want to go to 6. Put himself in the position to die to a bolt, snap, bolt. A bolt, then a helix, you know? That makes no sense. It's bad enough he's in Colonnade plus helix range. Spire Bluff Canal. James really flooded this game. And yet he's so close. Snapcaster again comes down with no target. At least no castable target. Both times it's been an Ambush Viper. Snappy gets in. James cannot reasonably block this. If so, he loses the Colonnade to the Liliana that was going to activate anyway. But wow, he chooses differently. This is why he gets to sit there in his V-neck. This is why I'm back here. Southern Hemisphere boy. Things work differently down there. Like the toilets flow backward. I guess also we trade Celestial Colonnades for 2/1 no abilities. Back against the wall regardless. He is just trying to find one more burn spell and hope that Adam has no counters. I'm pretty sure Adam forgot to activate his Planeswalker. Inquisition. This will have to prompt the burn. See him doing Bolt Snap Bolt here or doing Vendilion Click. There's the VC. Let's see if this... Wow, it just plain resolves. Look at that hand. Wow. What even is in that hand? Spell Stutter. That's the most important card, countering Lightning Bolt. Negate also counters Bolt, but doesn't leave behind a 1/1. Tough decision for James. He has 2 spells in hand after this, and Snook has 7. So Stutter goes to the bottom. Negate. Snap. We'll need a leak if Snook has it. Does Snook have it? I don't think so. Could have sworn he had one earlier, but I guess not. Snook's failure to activate Liliana last turn really costing him. At least now, though. Now that the bolts are gone, he can afford to activate that fetch lane, bring himself to 6, normally a dangerous number. But not right now, not when James has used his bolts. Liliana takes that out. Snook at a comfortable 6 life. All the cards in the world in hand. Versus no creature lands with a blocker to the snap. This is going to take a really good draw from James. Maybe like a Celestial Purge right now. That'd be a start. James, though, at 6. Lily ticks up. Mutavault gets activated. James at 3 life. He must hit something really good. Like, really good. No, that's not it. So, game 3. Wow. That was a good game. The first game was a good game, too. This is a long and intense match. I really wonder how much time's left. It can't be more than 20 minutes. It has to be less than that. Players look to their sideboards again. Snook with multiple Bitter Blossoms still in his deck after board. It's really good, but it's very dangerous, too. Other interesting decks that I saw in the field today. Blasphemous Act Stuffy Doll. Powered by, of course, the Urzatron. I mean, what do you use your Urzatron for? I use it to play Blasphemous Act. I use it to play Banefire. Or I should say, Ryan Bourgeon uses it to do that. Nick Starr fighting at 3-1. Sam Lawrence fighting at 3-1. I love watching Sam play. It was a really pleasant surprise when I was at my FNM last night. Or no, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. 1 week ago. And I saw Sam stroll in. And I thought he was from the New Hampshire area, but strolls into my local FNM in Western Mass at off-the-wall games. And he tells me he's going to school up in the Amherst area. So that's very cool. I'm going to get to see Sam play a lot. That should be exciting. Today he's playing Esper. Esper, control, mid-range, you know, it's hard to say. When a deck has Lingering Souls in it, it can play so many different things. So many different ways. I don't know, Ryan Bershon was live this round for top 8. I didn't even realize that. The Pyromancer's Goggles Blasphemous Act deck. So 10 minutes left in this round. They only have 10 to try and finish this match. Can they do it? We have, to start again, Ancestral Vision. You have to wonder, this time, James is going to try and fight over it. Last time, he was buried in the cards. And yet, he was only 1 or 2 spells away from winning, so it'd be very interesting to see whether he sticks to his guns or changes his strategy. Of course, the ancient Carlos Romeo wisdom. Don't fight over the Factor Fiction, fight over the Psychotog. Not really. Wasn't really true then. I mean, he'd still counter a Factor Fiction, just not in certain scenarios. But the point was to try and slay the Sacred Cow, that the card draw was what you wanted to fight over. James, last game, decided that was not what he wanted to fight over. Players playing at a reasonable clip. They do not want to draw. They absolutely do not want to draw here. And again, end of turn Snapcaster from Snook. Wow. What instance does he even have to flash back? This deck sorely needs Opt. Bolt hits Snap. Adam on only 2 lands. He really needs a black source here. Really, really needs a black source here. He drew another Ancestral Visions, I think. Awkward. What to do to keep up Spell Stutter, keep up Fatal Push, or to suspend Ancestral Vision? A frustrating way to go out of a tournament, that's for sure. Ah, Collective Brutality. That's what's causing him to think so hard. He just says go. He knows that James almost definitely has a counterspell. There's the land that James needs. He would love to get up to 6 lands, power that Colonnade, so he keeps them both. Snook can't be happy about this. Spends a negate on it. Wow. Ancestral attempts to be cast. Logic Knot. X equals 3. Mana Leak counters that, so Snook again resolves his Ancestral right on time. Let's see if he can find a 3rd land. He better find a 3rd land here. This game is just done. Creeping Tar Pit would be good. Dark Slick would be good. Basic Island just fine. Suspend Vision. Doesn't even have to discard. These players playing for the top 8, this Titanium Challenge. If you want to know more, if you want to know when these tournaments are, check out our Facebook page, TJ Titanium Series. Like us there. You can add me, Zack Hall, on Facebook. I will accept. You can text the word Titanium to 22828. 22828. That'll join our newsletter. Mail out about not twice a week, excuse me, once every 2 weeks. We don't spam you. Letting you know where the next tournaments are, when the next tournaments are, as well as discounts off of tournaments. Now, Snook's life total isn't under threat yet, but that Gideon is a capital P problem. No Creeping Tar Pit. No Flyers. No 2/3 to block the tokens. What is his plan? In fact, very few ways to interact with that card at all. Like, bounce it and then counter it on the way down. That's one of the only options. And at this point, there are less than 4 minutes left in the round. So while neither player wants a draw, it doesn't knock them out. All 3 modes on Collective Brutality. Electrolyze to the bin leaves James with Bolt and Electrolyze, as well as the land on top for Celestial Colonnade. Bitter Blossom. That is not what Snook wants, but it's what is the only real option right now. James actually thinking about bolting end of turn. Wow. So aggro. Yeah, the land on top is really key. Now Snook's about to take 8 damage. Snook really needed to dodge the colonnade on top. Adam absolutely going to need another Collective Brutality to gain some more life. All Thoughtseize is now dead. All Bitter Blossom is now dead. He cannot afford to take any more damage. He's at 4 life. Now 3 life. His opponent's last card is Electrolyze. Snapcaster Collective Brutality is so necessary right now. Instead, he just has to say, go. James does not play into any potential cryptic command. He just makes a 2/2 and says, go. End of turn, this should be Bounce Gideon, draw a card. This is tense. It's about, time is about to be called here. Less than 2 minutes left. Less than 1 minute left, even. Snook back against the wall on every turn of the game here. He hasn't slowed down because he's trying to eke out a draw. He's slowed down because there are so few lines to victory available for him. He has to make all the right plays to even have a slight chance in this game. He has to do something. Bounce Bitter Blossom, draw a card is what he decides on. Electrolyze goes 1/1. Solves. That token is dead. Snook down to 3. Well, he drew a Mutavault. Not a bad draw. Missing those land drops hurt him so much. Handshake. Wow. That's it. Snook falls. Multiple Grand Prix top 8er Adam Snook. In the dirt. James Ogier's boot on his back. Well done, James. Moves on to 4-1. Should be able to draw into the top 8. Right after the pairings go up for the next round. I am going to go check out what else is top 8'd. When I get back, I'm going to let y'all know who's drawn in, who hasn't. We're going to have a round 6 for you. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Tag your friends on Facebook with this link, the ones who were in the match. Let them know. See you soon.